guys are listening to episode 18 of Geeks to Glory. I'm Chaston, and my co-host here is Josh, and we are going to do part 2 of Star Wars The Last Jedi review.
Yes, sir. Let's just go straight into it and see if we can do it faster than we did the last one.
Sorry.
There's just so much to talk about.
I know.
It's hard to fit it all in.
Yeah. So
we left off talking about the epic Rey and Kylo Ren epic team up that we got to see.
Yep.
But unfortunately for us, it was a short-lived team up because Rey had the assumption in that moment, as well as everybody else in the theater, that Kylo Ren had turned to the light side. Because she's immediately after they kill the last Praetorian guard, she goes up to Kylo Ren and starts saying, "Okay, this is what we got to do. The Resistance is, they're really hurting. Let's get back in the fight."
Yeah.
And Kylo Ren is like, he pulls an Anakin. He gives Anakin the line that he gave. He uses that line that Anakin uses in the Revenge of the Sith to Padme and says, "We can make the galaxy the way we want it to be. Join me and we can rule the galaxy together as the two most powerful Force users on the planet, or in the galaxy, I should say." And so she was like, "Ben, please don't do this. Like you've turned, you've done the right thing. You can be better than this, And he's like, "No, join me or die," basically.
Yeah.
And so they have a pretty epic Force battle where they're trying to vie for control over the Skywalker lightsaber, because Rey tries to get it back that's when Kylo Ren does reveal that her parents are nobody. He said,
Yeah.
I've seen who your parents are, and they're nobody, and that's why you need to join me. And I could see where he says no one cares about you except for me. And for whatever reason, oh man, I'm so sorry. That was a great pass. For whatever reason, I think it's true. I think he does care about her for some reason,
Yeah.
And
Because they're brother and sister.
Because they're brother and sister.
Just kidding.
But yeah, she tries even in that moment to bring him back. He doesn't come back.
Whoa.
That sucks.
Bro.
Yeah, right?
All good.
So, I just didn't hit it hard. I wanted to clear it.
Yeah.
He doesn't turn. He tells her that her parents are nobody and that no one cares about her, and that's why she should join him. And you think for a second, she pulls out, he holds out his hand. She, puts out hers, and you think, okay, she might do this,
Yeah.
which would have been even more twisty. And she doesn't. She goes for the lightsaber. She tries to get it, and her and Kylo Ren fight for it, and they blow it up. They destroy the original Skywalker lightsaber by force pulling it in opposite directions until it exploded.
Yeah.
And at which point, Kylo Ren becomes Supreme Leader Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
You're good. You're good. There you go. He becomes Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and I don't know if you noticed it, but when he wakes up, you see Hux standing over him, and Hux is pulling out his blaster. He's gonna kill him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. Kylo Ren wakes up and says, Rey murdered the Supreme Leader, and he starts giving Hux orders, and Hux is like, "Who are you to order me?" And then Kylo Ren uses the Force on him, and he's like, "I'm the Supreme Leader now." So
yeah,
and so
which is what he's always wanted.
Yeah, and that's why he turned. That's you realize that his turn wasn't a turn. It was just him wanting the power. He craved the power, and he killed Snoke because he wants all the power.
Yep. exactly.
And that's what his true motive was. And Snoke was reading him correctly. He just didn't think that he would ever turn on him. You know, Snoke was reading Kylo's intentions correctly. He was reading the fact that he was going to use a lightsaber to strike his true enemy down. His true enemy is Snoke. You know,
Yeah.
the reason Snoke is his enemy is because Snoke has all the power. Like, and in order for Kylo Ren to be where he wants to be, Snoke's got to go. He's got to be disposed of, and so yeah. I mean, that's the reveal. You know, that it's just about the power. It's and Snoke reveals in that fight scene too, like, you know, that he is the one that is controlling those Force visions. You know, those Force Skype calls, basically.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about that, you know, is, you know, he was giving them both visions of what they wanted to see, kind of. Like, he wanted to see Rey turn to the dark side with him. And that sucks. And she wanted to see Kylo Ren turn to the light side. And he kind of force-fed those things into their minds.
Yeah.
But, you know, he says, you know, I now see no conflict in Kylo Ren, and he really is. That's where I don't think he's redeemable. I mean, he's gone. Ben Solo's gone. Yeah. He's fully turned to the dark side now, and that's just what's gonna happen. You know, I mean, how that all plays out at the end, I just don't think we're gonna have like a Vader redemption arc here. But
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like, you know, none of that went the way we thought. I mean, we thought that, you know, someone was gonna turn, and ultimately they just went farther on the sides that they were already on.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that was cool. I mean, it was a good. I think it was good storytelling, really.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. It's a lot of surprises. Doesn't go at all how you think, but it, I think, solidified where Rey stands, where Kylo stands.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think that it's good that they overall, when I first left the movie, I was just kind of like, what do I think, you know? But the more I think about all, I'm like, it was really good.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know, it was like these scenes were done really well. And I think that oh wow, I thought he was going to get that. I think it's a great setup for episode 9.
Yeah, it will be. And there's obviously going to also have to be some sort of time lapse that occurs, because you're going to have to explain why Leia's not there anymore. Like,
yeah.
It's not going to take place right after this movie, I don't think. It can't. Like, I mean, they have less than 400 members of the Resistance left.
Yeah.
They have no fight. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, this kind of sets up like the final, you know, battle on Crate, the ice planet, or the salt planet, really.
Yeah.
Where the first, you know, the Resistance retreats all the. Well, I guess we got to talk about Laura Dern's character as well, and Vice Admiral Holdo, what she does at the end of the movie, you know, to set up the ending act. That was one of the best scenes in Star Wars history.
Yeah, for sure. At first, bro, with that character, man, they really make you feel like, oh my gosh, she's just betraying all of them. Yeah. What the heck? Well, you know, but then she pulls that out, and it's just like,
that's where reading the books really comes in handy, though. Like, you know her character from the books. And
oh, really?
Yeah, her character, they do, you know, Laura Dern portrays her differently than you kind of would expect after reading the books. I don't know if you've seen like Harry Potter at all, but she's a lot like a character in the Harry Potter universe. And she's very weird in the books. She's like, you know, the pink hair and stuff, like that's a part of her personality. She's like very, very, very weird. Like, and really out there, and kind of like soft spoken, and just sort of I don't really know how to describe it. She's just quirky, you know.
Yeah.
She doesn't come across that way in this, and maybe she's grown up a bit and matured. But she's her character arc in this is really good, even though we get a really short time with her. And you think like she's just trying to. I think I came away thinking she's just trying to do the best that she can, given the circumstances, and do the best thing that she would know to do,
Yeah.
And it does look like betrayal, and it looks like she's being a traitor kind of, and it proves that no, they had this secret plan all along. They had it under control, and it shows once again why Poe is such a quick thinker and such a hothead.
Yeah.
And he just didn't give it a chance. He didn't listen to orders. He wasn't willing to wait and see what might happen, and believe in the leadership, and believe in the cause, and he just thought like, my way is the best way of doing things, and that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
But then it reveals that that Vice Admiral Holdo has a plan, and she's going to get everybody off these ships, and they're not going to be able to track them because they're too small, and they're going to be safe.
Yeah.
And then that plan turns out to not work out, and so Vice Admiral Holdo decides, well, the only way I'm going to save whatever's left of this group is to sacrifice myself. I'm going to use the last of this fuel. I'm going to take this massive ship, and I'm going to slam it into Snoke.
Yeah.
And she does. She turns on the light speed, and she does some damage.
Yep. It was so BA.
It was so cool. Like, the whole scene goes completely quiet.
I know I my gosh.
It was such a beautiful shot. Like, the quietness of the scene mixed with like what was happening, the split in two. And that's another example of foreshadowing. I don't know if it might not be something that you picked up on the first time. The second time, now that I say it and you watch it again, you will see it. But when Princess Leia uses the Force, which we could talk about that too, was kind of weird to me. But I like that she used the Force. I just don't really like the way she used it. I thought it felt kind of weird. But it was cool. To me, it was cool. It wasn't like the worst thing. Some people didn't like it at all. I was okay with it. But when she flies back through the ship, there's a hologram of Snoke's ship, and she flies through the hologram exactly where Vice Admiral
Really?
exactly where she flies through the Snoke ship, and it's really cool. Like, it's a little foreshadow, and it's neat. I liked it. Yeah, I didn't catch it the first time, but I'd seen a review, and I had seen somebody say that that's where she flew through, and sure enough, it really is exactly where she flies through.
Yeah.
So, but that scene was beautiful. It was really, really, really cool. It was next to the fight. It was my favorite. It was probably my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And Luke's scene. I mean, those three things were just like epic. So anyway, they get to this this secret base for the Resistance, and her sacrifice kind of pays off, but they are against overwhelming odds, right? Like, the whole First Order is like knocking down their door, basically, and they have that battering ram, that super laser thing, that they're going to use to knock down this door, and they say that it's Death Star technology, which I think is really cool. So the First Order's marching down, and the Resistance decides to use these like snow speeder type things, and they charge the First Order. And that scene was really, really cool. Like, it showed Finn's growth, where he's not all about himself now. Like, he's there for the Resistance. He tries to, he thinks about sacrificing himself. He's going to do it, and Rose stops him. But but he's now thinking about the greater good, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool. But this is where Oscar Isaac, his character of Poe, changes, like where he realizes, okay, like we live to fight another day. I can't lose any more people, and so they're flying, and Finn is gonna sacrifice himself, and he's like begging Finn to not do it.
Yeah.
And that's where he changes. He says, "No, we have to pull off. We can't fight these guys like this. We have to turn around and go back." And that was Poe's evolution as a character. Like he, instead of like if this had been the beginning of the movie, he would have flown right at those guys. And they would have taken out some of those things, and somebody would have sacrificed themselves to blow up that thing, and he would have been okay with it. But this time around, he had changed, and I thought that was good. Like I thought it showed his character development. I thought it showed that he's ready to lead, because he was not willing to sacrifice anybody anymore, and like Finn took it upon himself. I mean, he disobeyed orders this time, and Poe had said to turn around. And he said, "No, we have to, stop these guys," and he thought that was the only way to do it. So he did it. And Rose stopped him, and that was the only part. That was one of the only other gripes I had about this movie was Rose and his kiss at the end. It felt retarded. Like it didn't work for me at all. Like it was just it felt forced when like I thought they already had good like chemistry as friends. You know what I mean? Like they just didn't need like a romantic element.
Yeah.
At all. Like and I don't think there is a romantic element there for Finn. Like I don't think Finn really likes her,
Yeah.
Like not in that way. So it just felt weird and it felt cheesy. Like we fight for instead of fighting against things we hate, like we fight for the things we love, and it's like
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just not good. It was the worst dialogue in the film, and it wasn't great. But that being said, it was still a cool scene, and it sets up Luke, and so what did you think when Mr. Skywalker walked through the gates when all hope looked like it was lost?
It was awesome. I was like, "Are you serious?" I mean, like that's what we were wanting the whole time.
Yeah.
And so for him to finally do it, it was just like, oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
And so I was so excited. And then like, I loved when he walks out and he stands there.
Yeah.
And then Kylo Ren is just like, fire everything you've got.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
well, and
snap.
We also have to talk about Kylo Ren in that scene prior to that too, where he's, the Millennium Falcon comes in with Rey and Chewie piloting it to save the day, and he's like,
"Oh yeah,
I want all starfighters to blow that piece of junk out of the sky." Like he hates that ship like more than anything else. So he pulls off all of the TIE fighters, and they all go after the Millennium Falcon, which I'm sure, the Millennium Falcon wrecks shop. But anyway, Kylo Ren's anger definitely pours through, and then Luke walks out, and I want all lasers firing at that man.
They're just like, what?
Yeah, and so they do it, but before that, we get that scene with Luke and Leia, which I thought was really, really good.
Yeah, it was great.
And we had, we had that moment where, he's saying like, well, I'm here to confront him, and he says, I can't save him, and she says, I know my son's gone and stuff, and you're just like, oh man, it's rough. And then he says, well, no one's really ever gone for good, no one's ever really gone. And I think that was just to say like, everything goes back to the Force, and good or bad, that's just, that's what happens. And I think like, and two, you can always look back as like, well, his life wasn't always atrocious, like there's still memories, things like that. But But anyway, he goes out there and he stands out there and they fire a lot. they they
Yeah.
put a crater into the ground worth of lasers.
Yeah.
And every ship in the First Order just fires and rains down hell on Luke.
Yeah.
And then I thought that was so great. He after they're done shooting at him, he's still standing there, and you're like, wow, like how did he do that?
What a BA.
Yeah, you're just like, okay, this guy is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And and so you see that, and he brushes the dirt off his shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, no biggie. I
Like,
thought that
what
was
else?
yeah, like what do you got? Like, and so Kylo Ren, says, I'm gonna go down there and we're gonna fight. We're gonna fight this one.
Yeah.
And I love that scene, dude. It was really dark too. Like Kylo Ren's really angry and it's like, would you come here to save my soul?
Yeah.
And Luke's like, no.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Oh. See, I need to go see it again.
yeah. And
bad.
no, like I mean, like, the whole last scene really did, like, it hit harder this time. Like,
Yeah.
I just think knowing like what was coming this time and just kind of appreciating the moment.
Yeah.
Like it hit harder this time, and so like they get in the talk about that, talk about their little lightsaber duel, if you
Yeah,
want to call
man.
it that.
Well, I mean, it wasn't so much of a duel,
Yeah.
really. So it was like there was just so much. I think that was just kind of. I'm not like trying to downplay it, but there was so much anticipation for there to be just this crazy freaking battle between them,
Yeah.
And it was just kind of these like a few simple moves, and then you kind of realize like, okay,
something's up.
yeah, yeah, why is he not?
Like
Why isn't he doing anything?
Yeah, like Luke doesn't fight back. He just he dodges every attack that Kylo does, and you're like, okay, that's pretty cool though. And Luke's kind of schooling him this whole time. He's kind of giving him. You can look at it one way, like he's giving him one last lesson in the Force, and he's talking to him like about how, this is, if you strike me down in anger, like I'm always gonna be with you, like I'm always gonna haunt you, like I'm always gonna be there, and he's saying just like your dad, like you couldn't get rid of him. It haunts you to this day that you killed your dad, and it'll haunt you forever that you killed me. And so he's basically just telling him, like, hey, if you do it, I'm going to become more powerful than you can imagine. Just like that's what Obi-Wan tells Vader in the first movie, like, strike me down and I'll become more powerful than you can imagine.
Yeah.
And so Kylo Ren, you finally think like, he charges him one last time and he cuts through him and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, you're just like,
please, like, not Luke, please. And because you just want to see Luke like be awesome one more time, like do one more cool lightsaber battle or something, like
chop Kylo's head off.
Yeah, and then and you're pretty sure like the blade had to have gone through him, like he had to be cut in half, and then Luke's still just standing there, and you're like, what?
Yeah,
you're like, what is going on? Like I don't understand, like, and then Kylo Ren starts to realize that something's wrong. He's starting to realize, like, okay, this is not normal. So he gets his lightsaber and he stabs it through Luke's chest, and then it just goes right through him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, you gotta be kidding me. I've been fighting a ghost. I've been fighting someone who's not even really there. Nice shot.
Thanks.
I've been fighting someone who's not even there. And so Luke is, kind of teases him one last time, and then when he says to him at the end, he says, see you around, kid.
Yeah.
That's a throwback to Han. It was supposed to hurt him.
Yeah.
Because that's like what Han would have said. It was very touching. It was a very touching moment, in a way. And then he disappears, and you're like, what just happened? And then they cut to Luke and they show him meditating on that rock on Octu. He's not even he's millions and millions of miles away, and he was just force projecting his image as there, but he wasn't there. the whole time.
Yeah.
And man, what did you think when you saw that? Were you just like kind of?
Yeah, I was just like, are you freaking kidding? Like, I just couldn't. I don't even know, dude. Like, it was just so cool, like
Yeah,
to see him do that and just be like, wow,
yeah,
So he did all that, gave them all the time they needed. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Well, I walked out
But
thinking like we just saw the most epic use of the Force ever.
yeah,
So
yeah, it does. No way it gets any better than that ever.
yeah, like it was just so cool. Like he took on he completed the foreshadowing moment where he took on the entire First Order with a laser sword.
Yeah,
And which I just thought that was all really cool. They tied everything together at the end of the movie so well. They had completed all. They had foreshadowed a ton, and then they brought it all home.
Mm-hmm.
But then, as Luke's on the rock, what did you think?
Well, oh wow, I didn't expect that. Sorry. Well, I guess it was probably the best way. Because he didn't necessarily lose the battle. He didn't die to Kylo's hands. He died doing one final heroic thing.
But I mean, that scene is so like it's so foreshadowed. Like Kylo tells Rey, like you can't be doing this. It would kill you.
Yeah.
And so Luke's doing it, and it did. It killed him. Like he exercised too much Force power. Like
Yeah.
but it was cool. Like he returned to the Force. Just like Obi-Wan. Like he disappeared. His body disappeared with his cloak, and it was really powerful. Like if you watch it again, I think you'll be able to just enjoy the moment and appreciate like what's going on and take it all in, better than you were able to the first time. Because like the first time I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like I was like, I wasn't upset that they killed him, that they got rid of his character, but I was sad that like we weren't going to get to see any more Luke, like in that way.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one with the Force now, so we're going to get a Force Ghost Luke for sure.
Yeah.
Like that's going to happen. But I was sad because I was just like, oh man, that's Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker just died,
Yeah.
And there was people crying in the theater when I went to go see it, and people were gasping, just like, but he wasn't even there. Like he didn't have to die. Like, but he just used too much of the Force. Like, whatever that power is, it's obviously very, very draining, and that's why I think it's a dark side ability. Like that just doesn't seem like a normal use of the Force.
Yeah.
It seems a little unnatural. If it's to the point where it's like killing you, like it's not natural. Like, and so like and Kylo Ren knows about it, and I just think like it's got to be a dark side ability. But not necessarily in a bad way. Just it's got to be something that only Darksiders typically use. And they're only people powerful on the dark side of the Force can like sustain something like that. But Luke did it, and he saved the day one last time. And he gave the whole point was to stall and give the Resistance time to get out of there. That was like the whole point of that. It wasn't to like fight. It wasn't to really do anything other than to give them hope and to get them out of there. Give them enough time to retreat.
Yeah.
But it was you can't really. I didn't notice it the first time, but as he's staring off into the sunset, like they show another sun in there, and they're twin suns, and they play the music that they play in A New Hope, where he's staring off at the twin suns of Tatooine and thinking about how he wants so much more out of life than what he has, and he wants to go on these adventures and things like that. And so they harken back to that first movie, and he is, looking at those two sunsets as he's dying, and probably reflecting on his life and reflecting on how he's about to become one with the Force. you know, and I thought it was beautiful. Like I got like kind of teared up in that scene. Like it was just like it was a powerful scene for me, you know.
Yeah.
Very nostalgic, you know. I like that scene in A New Hope when he's staring off in the sunset and it's playing his theme, you know. Um, it's always like it's one of the best shot scenes I think in all of Star Wars. As it foreshadows his whole entire, you know, arc as a character through those three movies. You know, it foreshadows, you know, he's longing to be more than he is and he's about to get his wish, you know. And then this, you know, it shows the twin sons in this film and he's, you know, going to be one with the Force now.
Yeah.
His journey is over officially. And as far as on the you know, in a worldly way, I guess. Now he's a spiritual creature, I guess. Like
Yeah.
and we got a Force ghost of Yoda in this film, and like so we saw that they can obviously interact with the world around them. Like
Yeah.
Yoda burned down the Force tree, so they still have like obviously they have a lot of power. So I'm excited to see like Luke's obviously going to have to be in this to guide Rey. Like he's going to have to be there for her like Obi-Wan was there for him.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see that. I know that like we basically didn't see the last of Luke, but man, it'd just be cool to see him one more time with a lightsaber, I guess, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
It would be.
It was a hard scene, but it was good. I think they had to kill him personally. I think that scene had to end that way. Because they already set it up like, you know, that's a powerful Force ability, like you can't do this. You would die, so Luke had to die for it, but it was good. And that's I mean, we get one final scene, right? Like we have the boy, the broom kid, as people on the internet call him now. And he's a Force user, so I mean, it kind of sets up like, is this kid going to be important later, or is he just a sign of, you know, as long as hope is around, like the rebellion, the resistance will always exist, and there's always going to be someone to rise to fight evil. Like, I don't know exactly what that's foreshadowing. Like, I don't know what his importance is as a character.
Yeah.
I personally don't think he's going to be an important character at all. I think
Probably not.
I think it's just to show you that he's going to exist. We also saw that Rey stole the Jedi books.
Yes.
And so we know that she has those, and she's probably going to start a Jedi Academy and train Force users.
Yeah, it's that was awesome.
Or she's going to use them to learn everything she can about the Jedi, or learn everything she can about the Force, and but I would assume she's going to start a new academy at some point. Maybe not by the next film, but I think that's going to be her. She's going to become what Luke Skywalker should have been, in a way.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, I think we could probably talk about unless there's anything else you want to talk about, like final scenes or whatever.
No, I think that's pretty good.
So what did you think of it overall? I know your reaction after leaving. I told everybody that 2 weeks ago on the non-spoiler review that you kind of had, you know, your doubts about how you felt about the movie. At first.
So just at first, I just like left the theater and I was like, oh gosh, was I disappointed with this movie?
Yeah.
You know, and I was just kind of like, I don't know if I liked it. But I think it was because I was wanting one of them to turn so badly, and that didn't happen. So I was just kind of hurt and frustrated. But then the more and more I thought about it and how it just overall was a great story for Star Wars, and a good way to deal with the characters and what is actually going on with the Resistance being overrun pretty much and just powerless kind of. And then, like we talked about on the first part was, how when Kylo and Rey were in Snoke's throne room and they were fighting together, at the end, when Kylo's just like, join me and we can rule the galaxy together, basically, you learn pretty quickly that, okay, that settles it for Kylo. He's not going to turn to the light side. He wants to just be in control of everything. That's why he killed Snoke. And so a lot of the pieces started like just fitting a lot better, even though neither one of them turned. But my biggest probably disappointments were just I forgot that planet's name. That was basically useless.
Oh, Canto
Waste
Bite.
of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
That and just I don't know. I mean, that was probably my biggest, because I kind of pretty much loved everything else.
I think it was hard because it was like it felt like Ryan Johnson just didn't know what to do with him. Like, it was like when we set up this guy, this character Finn, and he is like such a great character, and he was such a good character in The Force Awakens, and it was like, well, he got injured, but like, how do I incorporate him into this story that I want to tell? Because the story really is about the Force. It's really about Luke and Rey and the Force and Snoke and Kylo Ren. Like, it's really about that. And then the sub story is the Resistance is in trouble, right?
Yeah.
But there's really there's nothing for Finn to do. I would have rather Finn just woke up and been, incorporated him into that plot somehow.
And him just be with the Resistance.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the Canto Bite stuff was it just didn't work. It really, it felt like a different movie, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you tell that movie and it's them doing that, like, maybe that movie works by itself. But it just felt, I don't know, it just didn't work. Like, I didn't like Benicio del Toro's character very much. Like, he did kind of like teach Finn, like, well, it kind of woke Finn up to the realization that, the First Order's bad. Like, I need to fight for the Resistance. Like, I need to be on the good guys. It kind of helped him in that, but it was like you could have done that in another way, or just, he could have already been at that place at the end of The Force Awakens, and we didn't really need to like go there. Because, like, he was like, well, how's Rey gonna find us? And it's like, Leia shows him the beacon, and it's like, well, that's all you need, Finn. Like, she'll find you. Like, no need to, like, there's just no need for the planet scene at all. Like, it just wasn't good. Like, and that's the thing is, like, I think it's a better movie than The Force Awakens overall. But The Force Awakens didn't have any scene like that. That I felt was completely unnecessary. You could argue a little bit that the scene with the Rathtars was kind of stupid, and sort of not necessary, but it still fit a lot better than what we saw in Canto Bite.
Yeah. I agree, man. But, like, really, that's like my only negative.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good movie, and it just slows down the plot. Like, that scene just kind of ruins the pace of the film, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like it doesn't kill the movie or anything. And maybe the deleted scenes that are, because Ryan Johnson said this was a 3-hour movie originally, and so I'm hoping that the deleted scenes, maybe they add a little more to that scene and make it a little bit more enjoyable somehow. But if you're just watching that movie, it just kind of doesn't fit, and it makes you want to just go back to the other stuff going on,
Yeah.
like with the Resistance and with Luke and Rey and Kylo Ren and everything. Like, that stuff was so cool. Like, you didn't want it to stop. Like, like, I would have liked a whole movie about that, as opposed to like a whole side quest thing that was just unimportant to the overall story, and it didn't even work.
Yeah.
So, like, you
sure.
did this whole side plot thing, and it's like, and no, like you can't win them all, you know. But at the same time, like maybe that one should have worked, just to have made that side quest mean something, you know, because like you made that side quest unimportant on top of everything else. So I don't know but yeah, that's a big complaint. And most people don't like that part of the movie. That I've seen like reviews for and stuff. So, which is, oh man, I couldn't get there.
No problem.
Yeah, there were things like that. I didn't like that very much. I didn't like. I thought the humor. It was a really funny movie.
Yeah.
Like, which was surprising. I didn't think we were gonna get that much humor in the movie, but it was like really funny, and I think it actually worked well, for the most part. There were like the scene with Hux and Poe didn't totally work. It was funny. Like I won't lie, it was like funny.
Yeah.
But it felt like it just didn't feel like Star Wars. Like it just felt weird to me. The second time I saw it, it didn't bother me as much. It wasn't as funny either, and that's the thing is like I don't think that scene is gonna hold up well over time either. Like after you've seen that a few times, like it might be kind of annoying. Like, but I don't know. I'd have to. I don't think it's annoying right now, but the second time I saw it, I was like, well, this isn't really funny anymore. But it didn't feel as crappy either. You know, it didn't feel as out of place as it originally did.
Yeah.
And I mean, the movie sets it up with the Great Crawl, and it's like the, you know, First Order decimated the rebellion or the resistance, and it just was like a really dark opening crawl, and then you get hit with this like joke right away, and it was just like, I don't know, it didn't feel good to me. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the whole movie sets you up for a whole bunch of like, oh, you thought this was gonna happen? No, like. That movie. This Last Jedi movie was a whole bunch of misdirection.
Yeah, it was good for lots of twists. It really was.
Yeah. So, what were like the highlights for you? I mean, we've kind of talked about it, but just to hit it again, what was like
highlights were definitely the killing of Snoke.
Yeah.
And.
Which was, if we also could talk about that really quickly. I mean, I still want to get a backstory on this guy. I want to know what he's all about. You know.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
But yeah, the killing of Snoke. What else?
Killing of Snoke. The last scene with Luke, obviously.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, overall, just the entire relationship between Luke and Rey on the island.
Yeah. That was it was really, really good.
Yeah.
The killing of Snoke, the battle that ensued with the Praetorian guards were all really, really cool. I thought the flashback scenes with like Luke and Ben Solo were really, really good as well. I thought that that really paid off for me at the end, especially towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I think, Luke's final scene for sure, and their relationship, like Luke and Rey's relationship. But Luke's final scene, I think, especially if you see it a second time, I think you're gonna even get more out of it. And
yeah,
it was a good movie. I would say if you had to rank your movies, I don't know if you're interested in doing that, but maybe you could give this a final score and then maybe rank the Star Wars movies, from at least the live action Star Wars movies.
So this I would probably give it a 9.
9, okay.
Out of 10.
Yeah.
Gosh. See, it's hard because sometimes, man, like sometimes I have such bad memories of movies.
Yeah.
Like I really need to watch the originals again, and
sure.
I can pretty much. Oh wow, I hit the wall. I can pretty much remember all of 1, 2, and 3 because like those were the ones I kind of grew up with, so I watched them all the time.
Yeah.
And but I definitely like 4, 5, and 6 way more.
Yeah.
I'd probably say that Return is probably my favorite.
Okay.
And then I'd go with Empire. Probably The Force Awakens, Return of the Jedi. I don't know what order. I won't put them in an
You mean
order
Last
right
Jedi?
now. Yeah, sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
And then A New Hope, and then 1, 2, and 3. No real order for 1, 2, and 3. I would probably say I liked 3 the most, just
yeah.
because we see the very final steps of Vader. You know?
I actually think 3 is a good movie. It's not a well acted movie, but 3 for me is actually in my top 3 or 4 Star Wars movies. And it's just because of the story and just what we see. We actually see Vader become Vader, like for real. So I guess my ranking would probably be Return of the Jedi is my favorite. And typically, I mean, most fans would say that Empire is the best Star Wars movie of all time, and it's definitely really, really good. I mean, it's hard for me to go against Return of the Jedi, though. I love the conclusion. I love the redemption of Vader. It's just my favorite. Say what you want about Ewoks, but Return of the Jedi is good.
Yeah.
So I'd go Return of the Jedi, and then I would go probably Empire Strikes Back. I would probably then go Revenge. Well, I should preface this. Revenge of the Sith used to be in my top 3, or 4, but then I'd go Last Jedi, Force Awakens, then Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
Not a popular choice, but then I'd go Attack of the Clones, and then Phantom Menace.
Okay.
So
Phantom was your least favorite Star Wars movie.
Phantom is just, it's horrible. I can't. There's almost no redeeming qualities about it, and every time I watch Star Wars and like, watch them in order, like I typically will start with Attack of the Clones and just forget that. I mean, it's hard because Phantom Menace has the cool like fight scenes with Darth Maul and stuff, but I just don't think it's a good movie. Like, it's just, I don't know. I just can't watch it. Like the child actor is so bad. Like, yippee! Like, there's so many bad lines in that movie. I just can't do it. And then Attack of the Clones isn't much better, really. It just for me it is a little bit better. I think it tells a little bit better of a story. And then Revenge of the Sith, I actually think is a good movie. Like, I missed A New Hope. I put Revenge of the Sith above A New Hope, actually. Like original Star Wars, number 1. And that's definitely not a popular choice. It's just...
Vader! Sorry.
No, it's fine. Revenge of the Sith to me is just actually a good film. Like, it's beautiful. Like, the cinematography is really good. Even like the CGI to me holds up fine in today's standards. Like, it's just the dialogue isn't good at all. The acting isn't very good. Even Ewan McGregor, who's a really good actor, doesn't do a great job in that movie. Like he killed younglings is not a good line. But there's a lot of good in that movie. Like, it's kind of like the Darth Vader of the Star Wars franchise, where it's like there's still good in him. So I really like A New Hope. Is just, it doesn't hold up well for me. Like, there's certainly very powerful things in A New Hope that are really good. Like the ideas in A New Hope are really, really good. But like the special effects, they don't hold up at all. And the fight scene, like the lightsaber scenes, like after the prequels, make the sequel trilogy just not good anymore. The first lightsaber duel that we get between Obi-Wan and Vader is just a bore. Like, and so it's not great. But yeah, I think Last Jedi for me, since we're talking about that film today, is number 3 in my list of favorite Star Wars movies. Force Awakens would be 4. I just think Force Awakens is too similar to A New Hope to justify being any higher than that. I think it's a good movie. I think they do tell enough differences that it stands alone. But I just think like The Last Jedi is so unique. It's the most different Star Wars movie by far.
Yeah.
And I think the chances taken paid off really well for me. And I would give The Force Awakens like an 8.5, and I would give The Last Jedi a 9 as well. So
Okay.
But I mean, like I said, it's not that Force Awakens is a bad movie. It's just I don't think it's original enough to like really take over any of the original like to take over the original story at all. And then, I mean, I do like it better than A New Hope, but I mean, that's just my opinion. You know, most people wouldn't agree with that. And A New Hope is like the original, you know, so like, you know, The Force Awakens is so much like it that it does make it a little bit hard to put that above The Last Jedi. Just because they did so many new things. Like, the Force is kind of different now, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not midi-chlorians. It's not really the way that George Lucas set it up. It's just kind of different now after The Last Jedi, and I think that's cool. And I think they grew. You know, like Star Wars took a step and they grew out of it. Nice. I was going back to get boosts and we scored. Sweet. So overall, it's a good one, and I think Last Jedi could actually be a movie that over time becomes my favorite Star Wars movie ever. It kind of depends how Episode 9 wraps everything up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I agree, man.
So, well, that was our Last Jedi review. Is over 2 hours.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think, and you know, don't be overly critical.
Yeah, I think like it's just a movie, you know, and if you're a fan of Star Wars, I do think you'll like it. But even saying that, like even as a fan of Star Wars, like if you have issue with like the Luke Skywalker stuff, like I think that's pretty fair. You know, like I mean, I feel like this could be a love it or hate it movie, you know, for sure.
Yeah.
I think over time though, as you process it, like I think the directions that they took like they had to go that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they had to do what they did, and I just think that that's the best. That was the best thing that they could have done.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Awesome.
I can't wait to
watch it again.
see it more and more and more.
Yeah. 4K.
You know.
It's actually coming out on 4K Blu-ray.
Good.
So the first Star Wars movie that's going to be in 4K, and that's going to be
Nice.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
So
exciting.
yeah, I'm gonna enjoy that like crazy. So
For
awesome,
sure.
awesome, man. Well, that was a cool 2-parter, and
Yeah.
And I hope you guys had an excellent holiday. That you guys had a great Christmas and a happy New Year. And we'll see you all, Lord willing, next Sunday.
Next year.
Next
Sunday.
year. Next Sunday will be next year. Yep.
Yep. Alrighty, guys. Bye.